out and got that, and got those people involved, you would change Clark County. Clark County right now, as you know, has to be strongly organized, and it is the key to the state, obviously. We all know that. The encouragement is that if we're willing, step by step, to do the drudge work of just finding voters and getting them out to vote, getting them registered, getting them going to the polls. It's boring. Honestly, it's just very boring. But just like if you do, those of you who've done sports, if you do the grunt work and you get out on the field and you get the victory, all the drudgery was more than worth it. And the brass ring is right there for you. All you need to do is reach out and grab it. So I'm here to encourage you with that. Harry Reid's the prize, folks. He's the prize, and he's got to be ready to do it. And it only happens when Republicans are strong. So thank you very much.
Because we've communicated ever since October, when Richard and I first kind of made the overture of how do we want to go forward with this process. So, you know, a lot of people think, oh, there's just all this dissension and everything within the party. I can tell you that Richard and I had these discussions together a long time ago. Frank and I had these discussions, Dwayne and I, and David, and you know, a lot of people involved in this. And it's easy to sit down and say, oh, well, everybody quit because of the dissension. The reality is that's not always the case. Some people made a choice because they wanted to support specific candidates. We identified by the bylaws and also by an ethical issue that you can't come out, and especially as a chairman, you can't come out and support just one candidate. There's a problem with that. I think those of you that are candidates in this room understand that, and I think everybody else does. Chuck Muth has done everything to completely tear our party apart. Ben Spillman kind of wrote an article that wasn't necessarily positive for us. I can tell you that our group, with support of Richard and this e-board, took some of these things forward to bury all this crap that was in the past, to get it out in the open, to be transparent. And this was not intended to divide this party. It was to let everybody know we're standing on one ground, and it's going to be an ethical ground, and we're going to take the high ground. We knew there was going to be a negative article. We had planned that from going all the way back to September. At some point, you have to deal with it, and actually, in between Christmas and New Year's is a great time because everybody's involved with holidays. And I'd like Jim to talk about how we come together and get past this thing of, you know, old guard, new guard, Tea Party, 912er, Ron Paul group, all of this kind of stuff, and just sit down and say, are we focused on one goal of winning an election and making this party good or not? And I'll let Jim kind of talk to it, because he's been through this a lot more than I have.
Well, my background is I've run many statewide efforts doing various things, and the one thing that is consistent is that you've always got differences. You got to build coalitions. One effort I ran, I had 5 different groups in the state, all have to come together, all with their own agenda. Think about this for a minute. Various nonprofit groups, they have their own email list, they have their own donor list, all these things. And they're all competing for similar dollars because they all are doing similar things. And yet, can they come together and say, but the issue is bigger? For us, the issue is getting Republicans out to vote. We know we have more Republicans in this state than Democrats. We know that. It's just us getting in there and doing it. I'll just share 2 things. First of all, there's a great definition of leadership that I personally follow, and I believe is applicable to everyone in this room because you're all leaders. There's not just these board members. You know, each of you represents 10, 20, 30, 40,000 voters maybe that are not sitting here that are Republicans. It's some large number. You're all leaders. This is the definition of leadership. Leadership is knowing what to do next, knowing why that's important, and bringing appropriate resources to bear upon the issue at hand. Knowing what to do next, knowing why that's important, and knowing how to bring appropriate resources to bear on the problem at hand. Leadership's not about resolving all the issues precisely. And there can still be some butting of heads on certain areas from time to time. We're all Republicans. We've got a job to do. We've got to get things changed in this state. And every one of you is capable of doing that. And certainly together we can all do it. Divisions are difficult. They're challenging. But hey, we're human beings. We deal with divisions all the time. Husbands and wives. You have teenagers. You know the challenge of dealing with teenagers. I mean, we go through this every day. We're already practiced at this. We're having to live it day by day. So let's just do it together as Republicans. Second thing and last thing is this. Abraham Lincoln in 1848, as a Whig, made it very clear what needed to be done for Whigs to be successful in his state of Illinois. This is what he said. Every Whig, go out and find out who all the Whigs are in your precinct and get all the Whigs out to vote. It's that simple. There's no more to it. You will not win. You will not get that done, I mean, by resolving all the issues. You will get that done by finding all the Republicans